Oh no, the Suicide Squad committed suicide? Well, let's take a look at what went on here. Over the weekend, apparently, in total, including domestic and overseas, it brought in 72.2 million. Domestically, 26.5. They were actually hoping for at least 30 million, which they almost made it, but not quite. So now there is HBO Max earnings, which they're seeing as really great. But I guess ultimately for HBO Max, what they probably would really want to look at is, did it bring in any new subscribers? That sort of thing. So if the bulk of their current subscriber base tuned in, well, that's great, but it's not adding to what they already had, that sort of thing, So they spent $185 million to produce the film, and at least $100 million more on promotional efforts, which I gotta say, I didn't think the trailers did it any justice. But, I don't know what else they could have done without, giving stuff away and that kind of thing. So it's sad because the movie is not bad. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it beats out the other two outings they had, which was Wonder Woman 84 and Birds of Prey. Now, Birds of Prey, they said, Birds of Prey beat this. Well, Birds of Prey had the advantage of coming out just before the apocalypse happened, so I don't think it's a fair comparison. And so there are legitimate excuses here. So I guess I'll go through the culprits who sabotaged Suicide Squad. So right off the bat, James Gunn got this gig after he was supposedly canceled over his nasty tweets about a certain disgusting crime. And then he's back at Disney to do some more Guardians of the Galaxy. And then now he's a big supporter of cancel culture, which is, I don't like the man. He does good work. He does. So this is clearly a separate the art from the artist deal. As far as his nasty tweets, apparently that's all it was. There's been no allegations and no evidence that he actually engaged in any of that activity or anything like that. So that's that. There's no reason to really say he's guilty of it. I can understand suspicion, but beyond that, no. Was him being the director, was that a negative going forward? For some, and I'm sure it was to some degree. Was it enough to really knock it down so it didn't reach its ticket goals? I don't think so. So next up, a little bit of an embarrassment was John Cena, who took the knee to China to apologize to them for saying the country of Taiwan is a country. I mean, just ask somebody from Taiwan. Of course, China, ever since their Civil War, where the communists won and the nationalists escaped to Taiwan, and that's the way it's been ever since. Well, China doesn't like it that way. They see it as a province of China, and anybody who says otherwise, they poop their pants over it. So just because he said that he was pushed, I guess, to go over there because people still thinking there's a future for the Chinese market these days, doesn't look like it. It looks like it's hurting you more than what you get. I understand the numbers, which are huge, but getting there becomes increasingly difficult with all kind of mazes you got to go through, and China can cut you off at a moment's notice. So, but John Cena did that, and everybody's like, he's don't like it. Will it haunt him going forward? I doubt it. I think this again is rather minimal, even more so than James Gunn, and so don't think so. The biggest culprit, of course, is nasty COVID. Yes, and the manipulation and abuse thereof. In my opinion. So lockdowns kind of made a comeback, sort of, kind of. masks and everything, even if you're vaccinated and all that stuff going on. And you're kind of let right when this is coming out, and so previous outings had better chances for it. Whereas this release is right in the middle of all this with Delta variant and everything, and just and fear, of course, plays a huge role. And the theaters are going to have a long climb trying to get back, even if there were no more mask requirements and lockdowns and anything. I think there would still be an element of fear about it. So that definitely plays into it, which is again why it's unfair to compare it to Birds of Prey, which Birds of Prey is just a piece of crap film. As bad as Wonder Woman 84 is, Birds of Prey is worse. It's terrible. But Suicide Squad rises above all of that. It's, again, I don't think it's the best thing in the world, but it's fun. And oh boy, do you need some fun these days. That's, I think, explains Godzilla and King Kong and Mortal Kombat and all that. And then, of course, Snyder Cut, but I can't count Snyder Cut in this. Snyder Cut blows all of these away, but it's actually an old film. So, and all that. And it was, released on HBO Max. So, there it is. Certainly, coronavirus still, or COVID, however you wish to name it, has many aliases, is a huge culprit here still. And a lot of just the way things are handled impacts the theater outing, which probably, no doubt, I think, would have been a lot better had this latest weeks of restrictions and whatnot hadn't happened. Then it probably would have hit at least their 30 million goal for the opening weekend. So they didn't. And it's not fair to compare it to Black Widow either, because again, this is a new panic over the virus that wasn't happening at the time of Black Widow. So there we are. And of course, now the HBO Max numbers. Samba TV's putting out numbers. A lot of people watched it, but again, if it didn't bring in new subscribers, I don't know if they're that impressed with it. But Black Widow, of course, they say, oh, well, D Plus had it too, and that's why there's a lawsuit and everything. But that was priced at $30 million. Not $30 million, $30 a pop. Well, if it was $30 million, oh wow, it would have been the greatest movie of all time. But $30, a view. So, whereas HBO Max, you're a subscriber, you got it. So that's that. Now HBO Max. Well, is this a culprit too? It's somewhat. That certainly cuts in to what the theaters could have had, because I can just stay home, in conjunction obviously with COVID and all that. And then there's the high seas, of course. Oddly enough, I didn't have a representative on the lineup here, which would be the most obvious criminal. But once you put it out digitally on a platform like that, these guys will go in and steal it. I don't know how they do it, but they do. So that too is a factor here about what hurries. So it's a lot of things that can drag you down. So with all of that, well, maybe 26.5 million isn't that bad. I just don't know. And if they're happy with HBO Max and the viewing numbers on it, I guess, and that tells them there's something there, so that they don't give up on perhaps James Gunn doing another Suicide Squad, or whatever the course goes with the DC movies. You got the Flash movie coming and all that, but after that, will they start to think, well, it's cost prohibitive? So the best avenue, I think, would be to look for means by which to cut the cost down. There should be ways to do it, but it's just one of those lessons that's forced on them, because the DC movies should be in a much better shape than they are. And the shenanigans and stuff that goes on behind the scenes and whatnot has damaged it so very badly, where they just can't decide on what to do. The idea of its shared universe is nowhere near as cohesive as Marvel did, and stop mystifying that. Just do it. but they didn't. We're doing it a different way. So they tried to do it ass backwards and all that. And just, no, And it's too bad there wasn't some sort of cameo from, Justice League or something in here, even if it was just CGI characters in the background. But yeah, it didn't happen. So to have more of that, they would need it. But they squandered around, and now they got to make some real money, and that makes it more difficult going forward. So something like this, it might be a death knell to the whole thing. I don't know. Walter Hamada said, "Oh, James Gunn's welcome back and all that," and okay, fine, but I don't even know if Walter Hamada's there for much longer. so we'll see what Discovery thinks. And as for streaming, I don't think it can be sustained as it is now. They're going to have to kind of shake up the model there, and probably put some ads to offer some free, hopefully, I would think, free content if you're going to put ads in it, not just, oh, well, it's a cheaper price. You still got to sit through ads. So if some of that, some programs and whatnot would be available, and they could spread it out. But if there's any numbers whatsoever that people, a significant amount, I don't think it would be an overwhelming amount or anything like that, that would subscribe the week that Suicide Squad's coming, then perhaps there is that for them. And but they didn't announce anything. They didn't do it like Disney. Of course, Disney, that was that first weekend for Black Widow, and then didn't say another word about it. Of course, now, well, they're having a lawsuit and everything. Gee, I wonder what happened. So there you are. Primarily, COVID and streaming would be the big culprits here, and of course they're interlinked. I know they're making a big push for streaming and want to have their presence in it, so there would have been a push on that anyway. But had there not been an outbreak, I doubt that they would have done it. They might have shortened the amount of time it takes for how long a movie stays in theaters before they put it on there. It might have been shortened than it was before or something like that. But anyway, there it is. Primarily, I think it's, COVID and HBO Max kind of hurt its own product here. I'm sure there's other elements. And a lot of people are saying the movie's woke. It isn't. There's a bit of shell shock nature going on with wokeness, which I understand, and that's the fault of the woke, because you got it forced down your throat for quite a few years now, to where any slight element of it seems more exaggerated than it really is. There's when Harley Quinn escapes, and it starts off pretty good, but then she's really attacking an army single-handedly and all this stuff, and beating them and all that. And then, of course, she gets the main, kill shot, if you will, for Starro. And stuff like that. And then, of course, well, America's bad. But that's actually old. I mean, good Lord, decades of that stuff. The current era of wokeness is, that stuff on steroids. And that wasn't really here. So it's unfortunate. I don't think this is a fair outcome for this movie. I think it deserved better. But these are the times. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr. Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.